All right, let's just jump right in. I want you to think way back to being a kid. Remember that? There was this whole secret set of rules, wasn't there? A world that adults, well, they just weren't really in on it. It had its own logic, its own laws, its own language.
Yeah, like that. The floor is lava. It was a universal law, and you knew it without ever being taught. One minute, the family room carpet is just a carpet. The next, it's a bubbling pit of molten rock, and your only hope for survival is a daring leap from the couch to the arm of that chair. Seriously, where did that even come from?
And it wasn't just about games. It was also about, life or death information. Like that terrifying playground rumor that if you swallowed a piece of gum, it would sit in your stomach for 7 whole years. This shared knowledge, this secret culture that we all just seem to absorb, it actually has a name.
It's called child lore. It's the official academic term for this whole folk culture that's created by kids, for kids, usually between the ages of, say, 6 and 15. And the really crucial part here is that these are traditions that are passed on from kid to kid, totally separate from all the stories and rules that adults are trying to teach us.
So yeah, this secret world is built on all those games, those totally nonsensical rhymes, weird superstitions, and jokes that, let's be honest, only other kids seem to find funny. So today, let's take a little trip into that secret world. We're going to look at it like a computer system. First, the hardware, the actual places where we played, and then the software, the games and rules that we ran on it.
So let's kick things off with the hardware. You might actually be surprised to hear that something as basic as the layout of our houses had a massive impact on the games we all played.
Okay, so this is fascinating. There's this argument that we can thank a specific architectural trend for our favorite lava avoidance game. As researcher Tim Huang puts it, the family room gave kids not just the space, but also the permission to turn all the furniture into a life-saving obstacle course.
So how'd this happen? Well, after World War II, the suburbs in America just exploded, and builders started selling this new idea, the family room. See, unlike the formal living room with its fancy, breakable stuff, this room was informal. It was designed for play, and it was usually separate from the kitchen, so kids weren't constantly underfoot. It became the perfect laboratory for a game like The Floor is Lava.
And get this was not a small trend. A poll from 1965 found that a whopping 7 out of 10 new houses had a family room. I mean, that's a huge shift in how homes were designed, creating millions of these perfect indoor playgrounds that helped this very specific kind of child lore just thrive.
So if the family room was the hardware, what was the software that kids were running on it? Well, this is where we get into all the rhymes, the myths, and the unspoken rules that filled up those spaces.
The absolute pioneers in studying child lore, Iona and Peter Opie, they figured out that kids' rhymes pretty much fall into 2 buckets. You've got the practical ones, the ones used to organize games, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and then you've got the other kind, the ones that are just pure, joyful nonsense.
And this is a perfect example of that second category. The Oppies actually collected this rhyme from kids back in the 1950s. Now, to an adult, it means, well, basically nothing. But to a kid, the silly sounds and the rhythm were just fun all by themselves. This is the unique language of childhood.
Now, a huge part of that software was a set of myths that felt like undeniable facts. So let's do a quick little debunking session, shall we? That gum you swallowed? Yeah, doctors say it passes right through you, no problem. Sitting too close to the TV? Might give you a headache, but there's zero proof of any long-term damage. The classic sugar rush making kids go wild? Study after study has found no direct link to hyperactivity. And finally, cracking your knuckles causing arthritis? Phew, thankfully that's also just a myth.
Okay, so that was the analog world, but you know as well as I do, the hardware has changed. A lot. The family room has been joined by a new kind of space, a virtual one. Let's talk about the digital playground.
If you kind of map it out, you can see this clear evolution of where child lore happens. It moves from the private space of the family room out into the public playground, and then, right around the mid-2000s, it starts to shift again into the online server. Let's just zoom in on that moment of change for a second. The year 2006 is a perfect snapshot of this bridge. Kids were still having these epic backyard adventures, playing mermaids or whatever, but they were also getting into video games and the internet in a big way. The analog and digital worlds of play really started to bleed into one another.
And here's the real takeaway. The form of child lore is changing for sure, but the functions are almost exactly the same. A game of tag, which is all about physical chasing, becomes a sneaky play in Fortnite, which is all about outsmarting someone.
A nursery rhyme that gets passed down slowly for generations becomes a trending hashtag that goes global overnight. And good old-fashioned word of mouth is replaced by viral video streams. And when you lay it all out side by side like this, the parallels are just undeniable. The whole point of the game is the same. It's a fun test of skill. It's just that the physical challenge of the floor is lava becomes a digital strategic one in Fortnite. A jump rope rhyme was a way to create a shared culture. A trending hashtag does the exact same thing, just on a massive global scale and at the speed of light. It's the same behavior, just adapted for a brand new environment.
So, what's the big picture here? What does this all mean? It means that even with all these massive technological changes, the fundamental nature